The long-anticipated DJI Mavic 4 Pro is finally out, and I was one of the few lucky ones to get their pre-order shipped to them in Kodiak, Alaska. This video is an unpaid-for full review of everything I can do with the Mavic 4 Pro in one weekend. I paid for this drone with my own money, and this video is fully unsponsored. The new Mavic 4 Pro is right here in my hands in Alaska. Technically, the DJI is not selling this drone in the United States yet, but Adorama shipped it to me. I talked more about it in my previous video. But in this video, I want to test as many things as I can on this rainy weekend here in Kodiak. Real quick before we get started, my name is Kris Luckenbach. I'm a wildlife photographer and professional drone pilot here in beautiful Kodiak Island, Alaska. And I make videos like this and other wildlife videos. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see as many things Alaska as possible. And with that, let's get into the video. All right, so let's talk about a few new features. First, let's test how fast the Mavic 3 Pro versus the Mavic 4 Pro can start up. Starting right now. Just waiting for the satellites to connect. Home point's updated. Boom, done. Okay, we're ready to fly. And real quick, here is a size comparison between the Mavic 4 Pro and the Mavic 3 Pro. Let's back up a little bit. Mavic 4 Pro is definitely heavier and bigger and bulkier. You've noticed this the second you unbox it and take it out of the box. One of the biggest things DJI has introduced is the introduction of their first ever 360 gimbal roll. They call it infinite roll. It doesn't really roll for infinity. It goes from like negative 270 or something, or negative 90 or something, to 440 degrees. So it can do a full 360 and a little bit more. So like a 360 and a half essentially. I would imagine this could be cool. I'm willing to bet in the next few YouTube videos you watch over the next year, or maybe even a couple movies or TV shows, they're going to introduce that gimbal roll, some Dutch angle scenes to their movies. I just have been testing out. I'm gonna have a full settings video. I'm trying to find the best setting to use for the roll, because the way it's set by default is you have to hold C1 and hold the right dial, and I changed it to just the right dial without holding C1. We'll see how that goes, but that'll be a future video. Could be cool. I would imagine it's gonna be a big thing for at least a few years while the Mavic 4 Pro is out. One of the cool things about the 360 gimbal roll is you can shoot full vertical photos and videos. There is a catch though. When the camera is in full vertical mode, it only has about 10 degrees plus or minus on the tilt axis. So you can't really get as good compositions as you would think, because you can't look down as far. It might not sound like a big deal, but as a photographer, I want to get as best angles as you can. And I found it's easier for me to still just shoot the panos in about 9 to 15 photos, depending on what I want to get with the lens. One of the other things I haven't mentioned with this Mavic 4 Pro is the gimbal tilt is very limited in vertical mode, but in horizontal mode, this thing can go up 70 degrees and it looks absolutely awesome depending on how you frame up your shot. It could be used really creatively, and I really think it's one of the best features on the Mavic 4 Pro. Well, it didn't take long for the active track to fail with the Mavic 4 Pro. I was going through some of these, you know, thin branches here, but I mean, it crashed right into all of them, and it just kind of like went into it. Like I said in my previous video, I didn't want to really test the active track too much. If the drone crashes, if I lose it, there is no DJI Care available yet, and it's kind of the reason why I was hesitant to test it. But I was like, I'll stay away from the river, and sure enough, it did crash. So just one propeller is the only issue. And yeah, everything else looks good on the drone. So anytime you crash a drone, just make sure you check it. It almost looks good, but the little orange tips came off here, and that's the only thing really. I'm sure it would do just fine if I did it around some thicker trees or, you know, rocks or a wall or something. But those thin branches, I think, were the ultimate test for active track, obstacle avoidance, and it did not pass. So there you go. All right, well, I'm doing a few more tests with the Mavic 4 Pro, trying to get as much footage as I can for the review. I crashed it earlier with the active track, and then I sent it on a spree at my house. I messed with some different obstacle avoidance, and I found the best one if you don't want to crash is definitely going to be brake. You don't want to use bypass. You want the drone to brake if it detects an obstacle. And if you do use bypass, the nifty one works, but I'm pretty sure that's why the drone crashed, because of the nifty bypass. So be careful. It's not a foolproof drone. But when I was doing a test at my house in the, you know, it's in the woods area, I ended up looking at my drone and inspecting it. When I landed, little orange piece got clipped off, so I must have hit a branch a little bit. It's a big drone, and I just personally wouldn't trust it in the forest. Maybe use a mini drone for that kind of stuff. It's cheaper, so if it breaks, it's not that big of a deal. The scary thing is if this thing truly breaks more than a propeller, or if I run out of propellers, I'm screwed. Like, there is no replacing this right now. It's at least a month out before DJI can fix it or send me a new one. So the funny thing is, for those that have the Mavic 3 Pro, I've actually never crashed that drone once. And technically, I've already had to replace 2 props on this, which is crazy because the Mavic 3 Pro I thought was flawless. I got some friends out there kayaking right now. I'm gonna get some footage of them, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. They're out there fishing, and hopefully we get some shots of them catching. I think they're calling me right now. This drone can do 6K 60. I've been filming mostly everything in 6K 30. If you get the creator bundle, you have access to all eye, and with all eye you also get the 512 gigabyte internal storage. 30 frames per second at 6K, you'll get about an hour and a half of footage, and with 60 frames per second at 6K, you'll get around 52 minutes of footage of the entire car. Now, if you shoot photos and everything, it's probably going to get reduced quite a bit. You could switch to H.265, or if you don't have the creator bundle, you can only use H.265, and with 6K with 512 gigabyte storage, you get around 5 to 6 hours of 30, and then a little bit more with 60 frames per second. The all eye will eat up your computer space, and your computer will also struggle quite a bit more with the all eye. So if you want to have easier files to edit, you're gonna want to shoot H.265. But if you want the best possible footage, a 422, you are gonna want to shoot an all eye. It is, like I said, gonna be harder on the computer. The H.265 is 420. Let's take a quick look between all eye and H.265. All eye high is going to give you a little bit of extra color space when you're editing, but H.265 with D-Log is still going to be a great combination. It looks pretty good in my opinion. I think over time I'm probably going to shoot H.265 for YouTube videos and smaller things that aren't important, and anything that's paid will probably be H.264 all-I, just because it's going to eat up so much storage space. And I already have the R1 and an R5 II, and this stuff kills my storage as is. As technology grows, we're gonna need more storage. You know, while we're on the topic of 6K, let's talk about the next thing. Why are we getting more resolution but an increased field of view? That means we're gonna have a bigger issue with wider angle stuff. If you're a real estate photographer, 28 millimeters is really, really tight. Even for some of the stuff out here, it's pretty tight for me. I think it should have been a 20 or at least the same 24 millimeter. If for some reason they decided to up it to 28. Quality is really good. Like, I do like it for some things. I think 28 millimeters is good for a lot of things. With extra resolution, you can give us 20 millimeters, crop into 28, 35 millimeters, and still have good resolution for some videos. If you do some real estate stuff, you might be better off with the Air 3S or the original Mavic 3 Pro. 28's tight. I'm sure they'll come out with a wide angle lens attachment or something like that. I don't know why they do that. You know, we have the 28 millimeters, then we have a full 70 millimeter and a full 168 millimeter. So we have everything zoomed in, no problem. What do we do with the wide angle stuff? I don't know. Like I said, maybe they'll come out with their own wide angle lens. It's honestly a really big drawback, and it might prevent you or a lot of people from buying the Mavic 4 Pro. While we're on the topic of some 6K video, let's talk about low light performance. And with an f2 aperture on the 28 millimeter lens, or even the 2.8 or the I think they're both 2.8 on the 70 and 168 millimeter lens, it's really, really good and low light. I was shooting past like an hour of sunset and I was still getting some great footage. So it's one of those things that you'd really want to think about. It's one of those things that's really, really nice to have low light performance like that. You could shoot early morning or late sunsets and you'll be fine. I was doing active track in low light and it was working really, really good on my truck. I had no issues. It was avoiding trees and everything. If you get the creator combo, you get this RC Pro. It's really, really nice. I love the fold up feature to turn it on. I love the power on the turn, or the fold open the arm to turn on the drone. It's really, really nice. It's really simple to set everything up. But there's one major issue. Just finished flying 3 batteries, and I'll get on the battery life on the drone in here in a second, but yeah, I finished flying 3 batteries, and this drone controller, the RC2 Pro, went from 100% down to 30% right now in just that time. I remember the original Mavic 3 controller, or even the Mavic 2 controllers, I think I might have charged them like twice in the whole career of having that drone. I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously there's more technology in here, but the battery doesn't last long on this. I would definitely recommend charging the controller every single time that you fly or before you fly, because the battery life definitely diminishes quicker. I have been recording some screen stuff here and there. I realized like the only way to turn it off is to shut it. Maybe I'll have to read the directions like a normal person, but there is no actual power button on this controller. It seems to be always on. If there is a power button, I'm not seeing it. All right, so I feel kind of stupid. I realized there is a power button on this RC Pro. It's right here on top of the left side of the monitor. It is really, really tiny. I had trouble finding that. I was out in the field and I sent my buddy Jake a message and I said, hey, is there a power button on this thing? Because this thing is dying really quick. So now I'll be able to know if the battery life on this is not too bad, because it just goes into sleep mode when you fold the monitor. It says going to sleep. And then if you want to just turn it off, because you see the lights are still on, you just press the power button, turn it off like any other DJI product. And yeah, there you go. The controller is actually really, really comfortable. I love the quick dial. I mentioned that in my last video. Quick dial is really nice for changing some settings without having to press any buttons. And yeah, it screens really bright. It's not super duper bright out here, but I have no issues with seeing the screen and everything. Highly, highly recommend the creator combo, or if you don't get the creator combo, at least maybe invest in the RC2 Pro controller. one of these days. I don't know much about the controller that comes with the regular Fly More or the regular drone. Since we're talking about the creator kit, you do get the 240 watt power adapter. Charges the batteries really quick, charges everything really quick. All 3 batteries. It comes with that little bank that you can also use as a portable power bank. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like an hour and a half it charges everything, which is super nice. I forgot to say this. The Mavic 4 Pro battery life is advertised as 51 minutes of flight time. It's been really good conditions, surprisingly, here this weekend. It's been just kind of like 45 degrees, no wind, maybe 5 to 10 mile an hour wind. And honestly, I'm gonna say my average flight time was around 30 to 35 minutes. Maybe I got close to 40 minutes once, but that 51 minutes must be like perfect temperature, maybe like 65 degrees. And just no wind and in just some kind of perfect environment. But yeah, I'd say it's more realistically 35 minutes on average, depending on your flying and everything. The only thing I haven't really been able to test with this drone and the way it comes to flying is a high wind test. For once, Kodiak isn't experiencing heavy winds. It's only been like 5-10 mile an hour winds, so can't test the high wind thing yet, but from what I've seen and based on the Mavic 3 Pro, should handle high winds really quick. 40 mile an hour, I never had a problem in that kind of wind. Then the last thing is the photo quality. I honestly will probably make a separate video on this. I think the Mavic 4 Pro is a great photo drone. I love the panoramic feature, the free mode, where you can pick a corner, the top left corner, and then pick the bottom right corner, and then it will make its own pano into that. That's really convenient. I personally like to just still stitch my own panos together and then just take the picture separately. I feel like I can line up better what I want, and I know how to start a good starting point. When it comes to photos, can do 100 megapixels and give you large files, but you're still not gonna be able to get that extreme crop like you could with like a real Hasselblad. I know Hasselblad's name is on here, but it's not a true 100 megapixels. There's not really a big difference between the 25 and 100 megapixels. If you really needed to crop in on your photos, the best thing to do in that situation is use the 70 millimeter or 168 millimeter lens. Take 30 or 50 or 75 pano shots, and then you'll have a super in-depth detailed shot. I do like the wide angle lens, the 28 millimeter lens for taking panos. I think it comes out good. I have a few Mavic 3 Pro photos in my house that are 20 by 30 inches, and they look extremely good. Without adding any special programs to increase the detail, it's really good quality as is. Don't fall into the 100 megapixel photo gimmick. It's still a micro four thirds sensor, and you're always gonna be limited by your sensor before you're ever limited by the megapixels. Speaking of the 70 and 168 millimeter lenses, the quality on them is really good. It's way better than the Mavic 3 Pro. I'm gonna give it a huge little check mark to the 70 millimeter, especially the 168 millimeter lens. It's really high quality on the Mavic 4 Pro. And then you get the full D-Log in video mode and everything. So the last thing I'm gonna talk about is the hyperlapses. Most drones nowadays have the hyperlapse feature, especially from DJI. I got some pretty cool hyperlapses, and I was kind of in a rush when I did them. I wish I made them a little bit better. I should have taken my own advice on them. All right, as far as I know, that's everything that I could test this weekend on the Mavic 4 Pro. I hope I covered everything. If you want me to cover something special, let me know in the comments below. It's so hard to do it in the weekend. You see I have my family with me. I can only do so much before I'm compromised. I mentioned I should have taken my own hyperlapse advice. Check out that video right here. Full hyperlapse tutorial, how to take the photos, how to edit them, how to post them. Or if you want to see my original first look, first flight, my thoughts on the Mavic 4 Pro and how I got it in Alaska, click this video right here. Thanks for watching. Bye.